Welcome back to another Friday tone tutorial. I'm Scott. This is Guitarnivore. And unless you're oblivious, we're doing Queensryche tonight. We are doing Operation Mindcrime off their 1988 album of the same name. Subscriber Thomas Jr. has been harassing me for weeks on end. Weeks. And I just can't stand it anymore. So, no. I've been working on this, but I didn't quite have it right. And on the last one, I was like, all right, I'm going to buckle down and do this. So let's just get into it. I'm talking too much already. And, well, since we're here, let's look at our noise suppressor. That's wrong. That's not what I have it set at all. I've got it set at 53. And I've got the threshold down to about 11. The release down to about 11. And that just gives us, it's going to give us enough. And you'll see why here in a little bit. But let's go back to our chain. And we're going to have our chain set at 3. It's the best sounding chain. Chain 2 is a little bit muddy, even though we don't have any effects before the amp up here. This should work, but this one sounds a little bit brighter, a little bit better. For our amp, we're going to have it set on lead, and we're going to have the variation, but we're going to have this dialed back down to 15, and we're going to add some volume. You're going to have to adjust that on your own amp. And our bass is turned up to about 56. Not much, just a little bit. And then our mids are up to about 81. Throw some mids in there. And then we got, I think, 68 on our treble. Over here, we're going to be using the vintage cab with about 66 on the presence. And there is your panel. I am using just a basic line out air feel for recording. No global EQ or contour. That's it. This is what we're sounding like right now. So we need some boost. And we need some turbo scream boost. So we're going to use the turbo scream as a booster. We're going to dial that bottom back down to about 5 and just pop this one up 1. And then we're going to use that effects level. I always keep it about 50, and that just gives us just enough. Don't worry about the rest of this stuff over here. And now, how are we feeling on this? What, did we put our chain over there? Okay, just making sure I had that chain. It sounds thin. It sounds weak. No bottom end. And I don't want to dial too much bottom end here because I'm going to be putting a parametric EQ here on here at the end, and that is going to tie it all together. Now, as far as the noise suppressor goes, without the noise suppressor, this is what you're going to hear. All sorts of noise. Noise suppressor does what it says it does. Suppresses noise. So with that noise suppressor on, I was kind of having a hard time getting a little sustain on this, on the D octaves. It was kind of cutting it out a little too soon. And I didn't want to put any more boost on there. So in order to get that sustain, I'm going to use a compressor. But I'm just going to use a mild one. And we're going to set the level at 50. And we're going to dial that attack back down to, I think, about 50 as well. But we're going to bump up the sustain to, I think it's about 65. And that's just going to give us a little volume and some sustain. And once we got that sustain going, we want to give it a little layered effect with the delay. So we're just going to use a simple analog delay. Nothing super special. And we're just going to dial it just enough. We're going to hold 82 on that, just enough to give us just a little bit of that feedback on here. Why I have that at 1 kilohertz, I have no idea. I probably stole this setting from something else that sounded good, and it was already set there. But I've got the effects level at about 42 and the direct mix at 100. See, now you got a bouncy sound in the background. See, it adds that little layer to it. Not only with the octave, the D octave, because this right here, I got a D and then 2 strings down, 2 frets up. It's just a D octave. It's just 1 octave up. That helps to give it that layered noise too. Layered sound. I don't want to call it noise. And then after we got our delay, we have a hall reverb just to kind of give it some spaciness. Just to give it a little more body. So I've got that down, and I've got the reverb time set to 1.8, and I've got 14 milliseconds there, 25 on here, same thing. I probably stole this setting from some other patch, and I just went ahead and used it, or I adjusted it here and there. I didn't really pay attention to these sometimes. So you can play with those if you like, but they sounded fine to me the way they're at, and sometimes that's just what I do. I look at a setting on another patch that I kind of like, and I integrate it here. You can do that. It's okay. I justify myself doing that anyway. But I do have the density cranked up and the effects level dialed back to about 38, and the direct mix at 100. But we're still sounding a little bit thin, so parametric EQ, amp out. We're going to dial this up to +6, pull that back to -2. This is the normal one I usually do. Only I kind of dial it back just a little bit on a couple things. Like the low gain, I've got it dialed back 1 decibel. The flat, I have my usual 40. Low mids at 250. And then the Qs at 1. And the gains over here at 4. And the level I have at 5. Now down here, I've got my high cut set at my usual 5 because over 5 is a little bit fizzy. Under 5 is a little dull. And same thing with the high mids. I have it down to 1.6. And that's just where it sounds good at. So let's see what we're sounding like now. Yeah, I screwed that up. But I don't have the tabs memorized. So if you want to see the tabs I'm using, I'm just using the official tabs on UG. And that thing I played at the middle, I use the backing track, but I use the metronome. Otherwise, I'm all over the place. Just a quick summary. Lead with variation, gain at 15. Look at your panel here. Chains at 3. We're using a tube screamer as a booster. We're using the compressor as a sustainer. We're using delay as a layer, kind of doubling it. And we're using the reverb to kind of give it some space. And then we're using the EQ to really kind of bring everything together and make it a lot beefier than it normally sounds. Otherwise, it sounds kind of flat. And then a noise suppressor to suppress noise. So that's going to do it. I don't know how to end this. It's like it's my first time or something. I don't know. I've tried recording this like 6 times. Totally screwed it up every other time, so I guess this is no exception. So that's going to do it. I don't know what we're doing next week. I have no idea. In fact, going forward, I think I'm going to be doing one every 2 weeks and maybe a different video in between. Otherwise, I'm going to kind of get burned out on this. Plus, the summer months are coming up, and I got a lot of work to do to get everything outside ready down here in North Carolina. So that's going to do it. Hit that like and subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber. And if you like this video and you want to see more, and we'll see you next time. Oh, and like always,